Well, so far we've talked about coiling our rope, we've talked about building our loop. Now we're going to talk about kind of refining the size of our loop, refining the tail of our rope, the Honda, the tip. We're going to teach you a little bit more about the different parts of our rope. But like we're going to do in every video, we're going to start from the bottom to the top. So first thing, we're going to take our rope, we're going to pitch it out there, and we're going to coil our rope. This time is a little different. This time, our tail, instead of holding on down here, we want our tail to dang near be touching the ground. So we're just going to start coiling our rope from a little bit further, about 3 foot up from the bottom. Call that the tail of our rope. We're just going to grab it right about there so we've got a little tail. Now we're going to coil our rope. We're going to reach out there, reach out again, make these coils about the same size. Reach out again, make these coils about the same size. Reach out here again. Remember, we got to flip that rope over every once in a while. Reach out here, flip that rope over. Now, if I wouldn't have flipped that rope over, I just want to kind of show you what would happen. See, if I try to bring this rope together, see how it fights it right there? It doesn't want to do it at all. So if I flip it over, brings it just like that. Guys, it's just like when you're coiling up a garden hose and you want to make it in those perfect circles on the ground of the garden hose. It's the same thing. Everything that is like this, that's kind of a tubular design like a rope or a garden hose, it'll lay naturally, and a lot of reason is because when it's made, it's coiled up, so it's going to have a memory. These ropes have that memory. They want to be coiled up, so you got to flip it over and it'll lay right in there. Flip it over, lay it in there, flip it over, bring it right in. Okay, now we're going to go to that loop building process. Hand goes in front of the Honda, down, just kind of let it slide. And we're going to do it one more time. And now we've got our loop. Okay? Our loop, this is a pretty big loop right here. So now we're going to work on just refining everything a little bit. Okay? I want this loop to be a little smaller. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull rope out of my loop right here, get it about where I want it. Then I'm going to go ahead and go here. And now I'm going to make my spoke. My spoke, remember, is from my Honda burner. The burner's in the Honda. From my Honda back to where here is, this is going to be my spoke of my rope. Okay? You can kind of call this the handle of your rope, but we won't get into that. This is called your spoke right here, okay? So my spoke, a good way to measure that is about the length of your left arm back to your chest. That's a good spoke, around 18, 24 inches, somewhere in there. Longer arms, you know, are going to have a longer spoke. But right in there, you don't want to have a whole lot of spoke like that. And you don't want to have it like this. You want to have just right about there. That's about perfect. Okay? Now we're going to refine all this a little bit. I've got my tail down here. I've got my coils. And I've got my loop. Am I ready to rope? Not yet, because I'm not refined. I'm not right where I want to be. Ropers, you want to have in this left hand, you want to have 3 coils. So when you look in your hand, right now I've got 1 strand, 2 strand, 3 strands, but I've only really got 2 coils. Okay, I want to have 3 coils with a 30, 31, or 32 foot head rope all the time. 3 coils and a little bit of tail. So simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tail, I'm going to roll those coils back a little bit. It'll give me a little more tail. Just going to roll that tail back. Now remember I said I wanted to have a little bit of tail hanging down there. So I'm going to go ahead, first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about my coils. I'm just going to get my tail hanging down there. Just going to kind of hold it with my right hand, and I'm going to just redo my coils right here. So now my coils probably shrank up a little bit. You want to have coils that aren't real big, just about 12 inches is all, 12, 14 inches. You don't want to have big old coils like this, because then when we go to roping, they're going to get hung up in your saddle horn and your horse's mane, and they're just going to be all over. So we've got about 10 to 12 or 12 to 14 inch coils. We're going to have 3 of them. We've got our tail hanging down. I just shrunk my loop up a little bit right there. Now we're ready to go. Now we're going where we can rope. I've got my 3 coils, my tail, and my loop. Tail of my rope, coils of my rope, spoke. My Honda's right there. Remember, my spoke is about as long as my arm. We are refined, and we are ready to start roping and go to the head and dummy.